Just like that, we back, okay? You saw my SEMA footage, you're probably thinking I'm taking a break. No, we back right at it. We back to it. Second day, I'm back. I flew in Saturday, it's Sunday right now. And I'm putting some parts on the car. Let me show you. You know what time it is. RacerX boys. Okay, so just so you know, we are going to put something on the shifter. I'm laughing because the amount of things I have done to the shifting assembly on the GR Corolla should be well documented now. I should be one of the, if not the premier channel for the GR Corolla when modifying the shifter assembly, because I've done them all, okay? However, this isn't changing out the dark matter one, which is right here. That ain't going nowhere, don't think. So if you haven't seen that video, look at these two videos right here. That was me putting it on. This is me showing you the review of testing it. This right here addresses something with more of the lateral movement of the shifter. I know this sounds odd what I'm saying, but let me show you a bit more. I'm cutting in real quick because, you know, before we begin the install, I just want to say something. A lot of people come to this channel, they watch the videos, but they're not subscribed. And actually, I enjoy them watching them more so than the subscription part of it. But how this game is played, how it's played to the higher levels is the amount of subscribers you have. So if you can, if you see this little subscribe little thing pop up on the screen, just take a moment, subscribe to the channel. Let's go. This is what I'm changing out. Now, it doesn't look like much in here. I want to give a shout out to, let me get the proper respect. RacerX's packaging, top notch. Their instruction ability, top notch. Their packaging, made in the US, everything, top notch, okay? I love their stuff. So anyways, this is what we're doing. This is called a lateral shift linkage for the GR Corolla. Now, lateral shift linkage, we're gonna show you where it goes and why it matters and what it kind of corrects when it comes to the OEM shifter. One thing to say about RacerX is the quality of their stuff is always second to none. Top notch, very good. Another US made company making stuff for the GR Corolla with the highest amount of quality. Lateral shift linkage, that is for the GR Corolla, is how it looks, the quality of its build. If you know RacerX, you know their aesthetic is like this black anodized steel and aluminum and things like that. Now, it also comes with a couple other things. We have some bolts and we have a spacer and things that we're gonna need to use in order to install this. That's all in the packaging there. This is the lateral shift linkage on the OEM car. This is what RacerX is replacing. The answer is why. That is why. So if you notice, all this extra movement, that is what they're taking away. This extra movement in the lateral shifting and the linkage and keeping everything stout and tight is what we are changing and what we replacing. I also want to shout out something. The people that I've been able to work with when it comes to this car have been outstanding people, okay? From RacerX to Dark Matter to MST, all the companies I've worked with, 6 Element, they have just been great people to work with. Just know that their instructions, right there in the box. Scan the QR code, get the PDF instructions if you haven't done something like this. I'm using them as well. Don't think that I'm just in here just blindly going about it. So follow the instructions. Let's go. Okay, y'all should be in a fairly decent angle what we're trying to work with. We're working right here. See, all we're doing is all right here, taking this off, and taking off stuff back down here. First and foremost, we got to get this off of this piece right here, and so there's a little pin that we're going to take off. That pin right there, we're going to put that off to the side. That then comes off like so. I'm going to kind of put that off to the side real quick. Once these are off out the way, these 2 bolts right here are 14 millimeter. I'm going to take off this one now. I know, I hit the camera again. Y'all probably like, what are you doing, dog? Those are cracked loose. Just gonna get these bolts out of there. See? Let's get this off right here. See? Off right there. Put that up there. Once that comes off, obviously this whole entire thing is moving, floating around. That is it. See? Just those 2 bolts undo this entire thing. Now, you do need some other, they did talk about 10mm and other bolts. I already took my intake off just so you know. But here's what it looks like already out. Just those 2 14mm bolts. This little cap resides inside of the, kind of on top of the transmission. I have to bring you down there to show you, but this little plastic cap, you need to take this off and actually put it onto the RacerX one. You're gonna want to take this off and actually put it onto the RacerX piece, which is this one right here. You can see simple short end of it. The longer end of it is where the bushing goes for the cable. This right here gets swapped onto this piece right here. So remember that. Take this off. Don't lose this piece right here because you're gonna need it. You're gonna put it back onto the RacerX one right there. Okay, here's the OEM linkage. Remember I told you this little cap, this little piece, see how easy it comes off? Keep in mind, it comes off so easily that it may still be inside of the transmission area where it resides and where it kind of moves back and forth in. And to give you an example, let me actually show you. Right in there is where that cap resides, in that little space right there, right here. So if you take it off, sometimes it'll still be sitting in there. So you want to make sure that you actually double check that it's not in there and to take it out. But just to give you an idea of where it sits right in there. Now that you understand that whole cap thing right here and where this goes, we can kind of continue with the assembly. I'm actually going to clean this off just a little. All right, the cap is cleaned off a lot better looking than it was before. Okay, I decided to do this. You don't got to do it. You make your own decision on that. But this is a cap that we're going to place onto the RacerX setup. So however, we got some other things to do. Inside of here, actually, let me just rip this open real quick. These are the 14mm bolts that I took off that we're going to now place right here when we put it back onto the transmission. However, this piece right here is a needle bearing, as you can notice right there inside of there. We actually need to put grease and other things on this piece right here because it will then mount on this guy right here. And then this cap right here will then go on top of it like that. However, before we do any of that, we need to put some grease on here. And that is where I got this guy right here, okay? Some impact grease. I know somebody's gonna say it's not really the right kind. It's all I got, okay? It's all I got. Let me live. If I am, I feel like I'm just wiping it off as I put it on. I'm just saying, I'm making sure that the stuff that is moving the shift linkage has enough grease, and this also helps to keep the dirt from getting inside of there because the grease will stop it. So that's what it looks like when it's all said and done, greased up. Let me clean it up a little bit. This is the OEM one, 50,000 miles later. See how much dirt and sand and it's just crud is caked up in there? That's just what's gonna happen because you're driving it and it's on the car and it's riding back and forth and sliding and all those things. So I cleaned it up a little bit more. Here is the RacerX setup with that needle bearing and the cap back on. So now that that is done, at this point, all you need to do is basically take this and mount this literally back onto the car, how we had it before, and then check out the lateral linkage and how much it reduces how the shifting feels. Let's put this on. So you might be asking, what's the whole point of you changing out that shifter and that lateral linkage? What are we doing? What are we getting out this deal? You're getting better side-to-side movement, right? That lateral linkage, the OEM one adds a lot of play. So the back and forth plates you feel in the shifter, when you are having it in gear, this one reduces that so it's a more solid direct feel, up to 25% as RacerX says, or at 25% reduction of it. So it does improve the feel of it. Now, I have Dark Matter X, so I already have an improvement in shifting assembly. I'm just adding to it with adding more as far as the front of it goes. Now remember what I told you when I put the Dark Matter on, I said there might be a few other things I might add as far as to the front of the transmission when it comes to how the shifts, cables and linkages are put together. This is that thing. This is a simple install. It doesn't take that long. Famous last words from my channel. Let's get to it. We have this piece as we talked about, RacerX setup, the lateral shift linkage. It's kind of greasy because of my hands, but you know, gonna be on the car anyways. I'll clean it off just a little bit so y'all get a little bit of a better presentation. However, RacerX setup, we got the grease and the needle bearing on there and the plastic cap. Remember I told you about this cap. You wanna make sure that it is sliding into that opening, keyed in correctly so it's not sliding around or binding. So we're gonna do that first. I'm just gonna kind of move this out the way, this linkage, and kind of feel that slot, that opening. Kind of moving on this side so I can see it. There we go. This right here, I'll move off to the side for now. This is how that should be. Then we gotta take one of the new bolts right here, get that screwed in. Just like that, see? Kind of start it off and get the other one. And you wanna make sure you use these because these are a lot longer than the OEM one. So if you use the OEM one, it's not gonna reach. Take the second one, feed it into there as well. Then get the 14mm that you had earlier to tighten this up. I'm not fully tightening everything just yet. I'm trying to get everything settled and set up how it should be. Obviously, you want to take the shift linkage that you had taken off. You may have like a washer bushing on mine. I lost it, obviously it was right here. I didn't have it on there. It's okay, all right? It's gonna be fine. Nothing's gonna happen. Then put this pin back. There we go. So, pin is on. We're gonna tighten this up down here. You're putting it into aluminum housing, stainless steel. Don't go too crazy. Make it tight, make it snug. There you have it. Lateral linkage. Now remember what I showed you before. Let's do a little review. We changed this out. Remember before when I showed you the first time in this video? Take a look at that. See that movement? Now, look at that. Not even nothing. Not even moving. Rock solid. Another quality part from RacerX. So if he knows here, just excellent, solid. I do want to point out one thing before we go. The reason why my install was a little bit faster is because I have the MST intake, which is a lot easier to take off than the OEM one. So if you have the OEM one and you're wondering why it takes a little bit longer, you got to get all that off before you can get down to that linkage. When you run aftermarket ones, it's a little bit easier to get down to that part right there. I'm just giving you a little PSA just in case. Okay, as I said before, I have the Dark Matter X shifter. We already explained this. So the differences that I feel and what you would feel if you have it on an OEM one with the RacerX short shifter kit is going to be different than what I feel. I do see a difference even in me putting that piece on when it comes to the lateral shift and the movement of the shifter. If I get into this gear here and try to move it, we're just talking about the most minimal, me pressing into this very hard, okay? Very solid. First gear, second gear, I like it. The whole point of all of this, right, to wrap this up, in the pursuit of manual transmission vehicles, RacerX has made you a complete package now. So you have their RacerX, you have their bearings, you have their short shifter, you have the lateral linkage. I do know that a long time ago, I'm gonna throw this out there to RacerX, they showed off almost like a full assembly, a shifter assembly, which is probably what they're working on as the final piece to everything that they are doing in order to improve the shifting feel on the GR Corolla, similar to what I have here. So you see how I replaced the dark matter in that whole assembly? I believe RacerX has something coming to kind of finalize their entire package in different stages of a short shifter assembly on a GR Corolla. Do you want just the bearings to smooth things out? Do you want the short shifter altogether? Do you want the lateral linkage? And then do you want the full shifter assembly? That's my theory. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just saying I've seen it and I believe that is what's coming next, just judging by what they're designing, what they're performing. Until then, like I said, like, subscribe to the channel, follow me, check out the podcast, follow me on all my socials, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Follow your boy, follow the journey, tell a friend to tell a friend. We got more mods coming later. I'll see y'all around. Peace.